Good morning, everybody. I am Pam Myers with Pam Myers Social Media. Welcome to Conversations with Jane. Conversations with Jane is Jane's vlog that happens live on Facebook and YouTube every Thursday morning at 10:30 Mountain Time. Jane, as most of you know, is a psychic medium, a medical intuitive, and a paranormal investigator. So welcome and good morning, Jane. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. I was hoping to have a conversation this morning about a person in my life. I've always thought of her as Aunt June, but it turns out she's a cousin of mine. And I had lost connection with her, but somehow she was near and dear to my heart. And I kept thinking about her over 60 years. And now we've just recently reconnected. She came to visit. She has been here for a week and just left this morning. I mean, we had such a strong connection, and I have no memory, no early memories of her, just a feeling. And she felt the same. And so I just thought, well, that's kind of an interesting conversation to explore. I just didn't want her to leave. I wanted her just to stay. It was really
Yes,
emotional. Mm-hmm.
So, well, what a gift for you that after 60 years you were able. It was time. The universe was going to let you, God, or however, was going to orchestrate that you could connect with her. And I think you said she's in her later 70s, so you wouldn't want to miss the reconnection.
Absolutely not.
If something happened to her and you had to start. When did you part company? You said you were young.
Oh gosh, I was probably 7 years old, 7, 8 years old. The last time I think that she remembers that we were in each other's company at my grandmother's house in Connecticut. Yeah.
So
it's been a long time.
Yep. And happened at a very young age that you felt connection.
Yeah. And I know, I've thought about her just for the past 60 years, tried reaching out and finding her, but I wasn't able to make it happen until just recently. I ran in a conversation with another relative. They said, oh yeah, I know who you're talking about, and put us in touch with each other. And it's just been great.
And you said she felt the same way.
She did. Yes. Yeah.
So what Pam and I had talked about just before we got on the air here is like, why is that?
Right.
That we run into people and the connection is just instantaneous. And sometimes it's not positive the way yours was. Sometimes it's like, oh, I don't want to spend any time with this person. But my personal experiences, I've had several of those connections with people. And as I got more experienced in the work that I do, I did learn to start asking, how do I know this person? And so in general, for those of you listening, if you have like a really strong connection with somebody, and sometimes if it's the opposite, sex, or maybe if your orientation is the same, a lot of times you can interpret it differently as beyond a friendship. But I will say from experience, and because I have the ability to kind of say, why do I have this strong positive connection with somebody? I believe we've had other lifetimes together as souls.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was talking to Pam a little bit before we got on the air that possibly she and her, turns out her cousin, her aunt cousin, they were in the same family, maybe mother and daughter, possibly twin sisters, that sort of thing. And just because you're mother, daughter, or twin sisters doesn't mean you have a real big connection. I do get that there may have been a romantic connection, male, female, at some point in the past. But when we run into people that we have such a strong, especially the positive connections, it's good to notice it and step back and maybe intuitively say, how do I know this person?
Right.
Because it can, sometimes these connections get misinterpreted by people, as I said, as something other than what they really are in this lifetime. So I believe what happened to you is you were prevented from finding her for 60 years because both of you had lives to live,
Right.
different paths. And now you're still been thinking about her, but now the time was right for the connection to come through. And what a gift to have her there for a week.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
A
Yeah.
true gift. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I've had, and some of you may have had this too. I've had somebody who was in my 50s, and this guy was 21. He was a waiter at a restaurant, and I was eating out by myself in Minnesota quite a bit. And he served me, and after the first time he served me, I was sitting at the pizza bar by myself, and he gave me a free cup of coffee because we got along so well, which I was like, oh, okay. And then maybe a couple weeks later, I went back to the same bar and had dinner, and he was there again. He served me, and I liked him. He was a nice person. And as I'm leaving, he says, when are we going to see each other again?
Oh, wow.
And it was like, wow, that was, and
Out of left field.
so we started, I paid attention to that, and I got intuitively that he and I had been married in France years ago. It was kind of an equal partnership marriage, and we had a couple of children, and we were aristocracy, but I kind of got that picture. And so I asked intuitively, how long do I get to have this person in my life? Because I got that this was, we wanted to connect, but we weren't going to be together for very long as friends. And it wasn't romantic, although it could have been felt that way, but I knew it wasn't. And he and I would take a walk around the neighborhoods maybe once a month, and we were on the same page on everything. So
Wow.
I didn't make it into something it wasn't, which it
Right.
could.
Could have easily.
Dad
Right.
was told I'd have a year with him, and after a year he moved to Costa Rica, and we tried to stay in touch, and then he got a girlfriend out in California, and there was no way to stay in touch. Our connection time was over.
Yeah. Wow. That's an interesting story, and very similar, right? Very.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're not the only ones. It must happen to people all the time. We just don't always recognize.
Yeah.
Like you said, you kind of confuse it with other emotions.
You have to feel in, or you get to feel into what this is. Is this just a really strong bond? I had a friend in college that was male also. It was a very strong bond, but it wasn't supposed to be a dating relationship. And I never really found out, and that was back then, and I didn't know how to look. But I knew we were really, really connected at a soul level. He was probably like what some people call now soulmates.
Mm-hmm.
And he passed in '89 during the AIDS epidemic. And I was able to be there. I hadn't seen him for 10 years, but I was intuitively got that I should go find him. I didn't know where he was, and I found him and got to be there a few days before he passed on. And he shows up energetically in my life as a friend from the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Not as often, and he didn't start showing up until maybe 15 years after he passed.
Wow.
But I've had those. So if you're having, like Pam, those cherished reconnections, and you get that you can continue them for a while, like Pam, I'm assuming you're going to continue yours.
Absolutely.
Because it's mutual and it's important.
Right.
Just understand that these are probably people that you're running into that you wanted to reconnect with at this time, because it would be a really positive thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
And just be careful, because some of these connections are so strong, like yours is, that you have to feel your way into it. And as I said, not missing, especially if it's somebody that you are starting to feel maybe you're romantically attached to, and maybe you are again this lifetime, but just be patient with it and enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
That you got a week of somebody you hadn't seen in 60 years, and it was just like nothing in between.
Right. Absolutely. Yep. How weird.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jane.
Well, thanks, everybody for listening. Just know that some of the people you're running into have been friends before, and maybe even close friends, and honor the connection for what it is.
Right.
And feel your way into it. And if for some reason you're finding it confusing, because some of my clients do have that, they're not quite sure how to interpret it, whether it's romantic or whatever it is. Feel free to reach out to me. My website is on the screen here at janecphillips.com, and you can schedule like a 15-minute free session just to talk through and see if maybe I can help you with some people that are in your life, or a person that you find it confusing, the relationship, or you're not quite sure how to interpret it. We can have a session.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning. Thanks, Jane.
Thanks.